Well, that's what we start off with today. The CBN's policy, as you have heard from the CBN governor himself. But Dr. Austin Nweze joins us now. He's an economist. He's also of the Pan-Atlantic University. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Well, already we see some sort of, I think if we could call it immediate response, customers besieging banks to deposit dollars already. But the CBN governor listed a number of things. Yes, banks can begin accepting dollar deposits, and then the BDCs have got a source for their foreign currency from alternative sources. These policies and the reasons that the CBN gave, what do you think this will achieve?
Well, in the first place, I was surprised that they could, come up with that such a policy in the first place. And nobody rejects, they call it, when you have a current account balance, it's always good to have it in a deficit, in the sense that people are bringing in dollars in, and you don't, reject that in the first place. These are people who have done genuine business, I suppose. And if you're taken out, it could be a problem. It could have some restriction for them not to take out. But again, reversing yourself. And you see, what he has done is to unsettle people, unsettle businesses, and you can't really plan. Companies are waiting, hoping that the CBN will reverse itself, and also some companies I know have left the country because of this kind of policy. So and that's what we keep saying, the flip-flop of government policies and all that, inconsistency. And you see, I don't know, they seem to engage in a short-term thinking, just to solve a problem, that they create a bigger problem, and they should be far thinking to know the implication from the beginning, the outcome of this, what is the implication to the economy, to the people, before you engage yourself in this kind of policy. So I'm happy that they are beginning to realize this, and they have caused more damage to the economy than what they wanted to achieve.
What about the reason they gave about depleting reserves, which of course they don't want that to happen because of the price of oil these days, and so they think, look, we're looking at what is going on and we're coming up with policies to ensure that the economy survives.
Yeah, but these are temporary measures. They should sit down and take a risk. I think the CBN governor wants to do something, but is afraid to take that kind of risk that he wants.
Why do you say so?
Because his comments show that he wants a manufacturing sector, to thrive in this country. But it's like his hands are tied. He doesn't know. He doesn't want to take a risk maybe he doesn't have the political will to take that kind of risk.
What could he do about that?
No, but the point is that, look, the CBN should be able to sit down and think with the finance ministry to exactly tell where are we headed, what kind of economy do we have to, must we have, what do we want to achieve, what and what should we be manufacturing here, and what and what should we be importing. We are not original equipment manufacturers, and that's the starting point. They should work with science and tech, and then work and see how Nigerians can begin to manufacture some of these things. We know of how Hong Kong, this creative imitation, and that's how Hong Kong developed. Aba could do that for us. Nnewi can do that for us. They could do it in Canada. They could do it in Lagos.
But is the fiscal policy in the purview of the CBN?
No, it's not. It was with the finance ministry, the monetary policy. But again, you find that the monetary policy, the CBN cannot move. Before, you can imagine what happened before the appointment of ministers. There was nothing the CBN could do. They were just grappling with these things, waiting for the fiscal side to support. Because they have to look at the fiscal side and then be clear on what the fiscal side is, is saying, and then work to achieve that. Nobody knows the target of this government except that now that the budget is out, the interest rate, and then the exchange rate and all that. So all these policies are just some kind of confusion going on. And you have to have, I feel sorry for CBN because, everything is it's not clear. There seems to be some kind of confusion.
When you say it's not clear, isn't this also possible that this is as a result of the fight against corruption that this government is about?
Well, it is, because one is that they have to be, CBN is also trying to be in line with the fight for corruption. Okay. But again, the nation must move forward. If you don't fight corruption like that, I've always said that there's something wrong with this method of fighting corruption. Every other thing stands still and all that. All we see is expose. The institutions should be allowed to fight this thing, and the government should focus on other things. You know, you can't throw in every other thing and say, look, you know, why not the president becoming the, like somebody said, and I read some time ago that the president should actually be the EFCC chairman. You know, that's how people feel about it. And it's not right. The institutions should be made to, you know, fight those things, strengthen the institutions. And then, what if the president leaves office in the next 4 years, for instance? That means everybody, the status quo returns, the old ways returns. So these are some of the things that we need to. The more, you see, I keep saying this. Our problem is not really corruption. Our problem lies in education. Because the more people begin to realize and the value system begin to, you know, change. Because if you want to fight corruption, you have to get to the homes also. To begin to bring up people that, you know, not to behave like a 5-year-old that was asked one time, what would you like to be when you grow up? He said, 419. You know? So, you know, that kind of a thing. A 5-year-old boy, because he has seen the distance. So the whole thing boils down to, goes beyond just exposing corruption. Yeah, it's good that to expose, but again, we should move forward, let the institutions go ahead, and then face other things. Yes.
You say that there's plenty of confusion, but where exactly is the confusion?
Now, the confusion is that they need to know the direction. The CBN need to know exactly, not make one policy today and then change your mind.
You don't think that the statement that the CBN governor made is clear enough? I mean, now banks are allowed to take the dollar deposits. No. That's one. And then two, he also says the BDCs. He spoke for a long time about BDCs, yes. You know, shortchanging the CBN, being greedy. I think that's the word he used. You know, overselling the dollar way beyond the official exchange rate that, you know, the CBN has approved. What do you make to?
No, but the thing is that I like that statement about the BDA, but again, there are some fundamental issues. Don't forget that the CBN has monopoly over foreign exchange. They said okay, oil money comes in. The CBN determines the exchange rate rather than allow market forces to determine. And then when you do that,
which some people say there's nothing wrong with.
No, but again...
That's nationalistic economics.
No,
that's according to them.
No, you see, because one is that you create, the three, I call it unholy trinity, of the interest rate, the exchange rate, and the inflation. Once you do that, the inflation you're trying to fight, okay, by increasing your interest rate, for instance, you're also going to create it. You have more money in this thing. The exchange rate is... 300, $50 million come in. You determine how much to sell. That's why the Bureau de Change people, you're selling a special rate to them, which is not supposed to be. They should be allowed to play in their, source their monies where they're supposed to be, which what I like in this statement. Because for years we've been saying, look, these people is a conduit. Let them source their funds. And you find that round tripping, the banks will get the foreign exchange and then do, you see, as a banker, if I were a bank, do their round tripping now. Instead of doing the deal with using the money for what they're supposed to do, they could just sell it off in the open market and make their money and sit back and do no banking. You know, so they make more money that way.
So were you disturbed then by some of the things that you saw in that statement? For instance, you talked about the last time, you know, the last time we were at $50 per barrel for a long sustained period. Our import bill was less than 200 billion naira a month. Yeah. Now we're approaching $1 trillion naira. It was well over 900 billion naira a month for import bills. Are you worried about that kind of pattern of consumption?
Yes, because one is that, you see, it's not just the CBN. That's why I say I feel sorry for them. It's not just the CBN. They're just reacting to. Now you go back to the Ministry of Finance, for instance. Who the customs service under that Ministry of Finance. Now, the role of custom has been, you know, That's I think they need to go back to the role of custom to protect indigenous domestic businesses rather than using as a revenue generation. Because one is that your policies encourage importation.
So would you still frown at the fact that 41 items were banned then? Initially?
Of course. Who came up with the infant industries? The U.S. economy is still a closed economy. The British economy is still a closed economy.
So why do you frown at the CBN then pegging, what the dollar should be to the naira?
Because they should go beyond that. You should allow the dollar to float, because one is that they are the ones monopolizing this. If NMPC brings in money, that's the point I'm making. If NMPC brings in money, for instance, the money should be the three tiers of government. The money should be given to them. Let's say, for instance, the federal government have their own $50 million. States have their own. Local government have their own. What they do is to create a naira value of that with the exchange rate they have pegged. And thereby giving this naira, instead of giving them dollars, they give them naira, and then these arms of government take this money to the banks. Banks now have money. They can lend to people for, maybe some people will use it for, extravagant things.
I'm sorry.
That's the point.
Sorry, you're saying that the states should be given naira.
If we deserve dollar, you give me dollar, I'll go to the bank, whatever I negotiate with the bank,